The day NASA hit Australia. Imagine a 75-ton object falling towards you at 28,000 kilometers an hour and no way of knowing where it would hit. That's just what residents of Australia faced in 1979 when NASA's Skylab space station crashed back to Earth. Skylab was an outcome of the Apollo Applications Program set up by NASA in 1965 to adapt spacecraft systems developed for the US moon landing to a variety of scientific missions. As a first step towards establishing a long-term manned platform in space, Skylab made use of a Saturn V moon rocket whose third stage was outfitted with 2 decks as a habitat and ready-to-use orbital workshop, and the command and service module of Apollo spacecraft that ferried the station's crews and small amounts of supplies. Skylab was 30.2 meters in length and 6.7 meters in diameter and had a mass of about 75 tons. Although limited by its consumable resources, Skylab was a roomy and capable research platform. Its main scientific instrument, the Apollo telescope mount, incorporated a number of component telescopes and other devices for observing the Sun over a broad range of electromagnetic spectrums, from visible light through to X-rays. Skylab was launched without a crew on the 14th of May 1973.
The Skylab lifting off the pad now, moving up.
The first crew of 3 flew to the station on 25th of May that year and stayed on board for 26 days before returning to Earth. A second crew flew to the station on 26 July, staying 60 days, and a third crew flew to the station on 16 of November for an 84-day stay before returning to Earth. At that time, Skylab had more than 6 months of food, water, and oxygen on board for future crews. The last crew even left a bag filled with supplies to welcome visitors should they arrive, and left the hatch unlocked. Calculations made during those missions gave the space station just over 9 years in orbit. It was predicted that Skylab would come down sometime around March 1983, and it would burn up in the dense atmosphere of Earth. This would prove optimistic. British mathematician Desmond King-Healy of the Royal Aircraft Establishment predicted in 1973 that Skylab would deorbit and crash to Earth in 1979, much sooner than NASA's forecast, because of increased solar activity. By late 1977, the North American Aerospace Defense Command, or NORAD, had also forecast a re-entry in mid-1979. NASA ground controllers re-established contact with Skylab in March 1978 and recharged its batteries. NASA had plans to boost Skylab using the new Space Shuttle. An uncrewed space tug, the teleoperator retrieval system, was designed just for this mission and was almost complete, but the agency gave up in December 1978 when it became clear that the Space Shuttle would not be ready on time. It had spent 2,249 days in orbit, zoomed around Earth some 34,981 times, and travelled more than 1.4 million kilometres during its life. With no rescue mission in the works, Skylab was left to fall to Earth. Skylab's demise in 1979 was an international media event. The San Francisco Examiner offered a $10,000 prize for the first piece of Skylab delivered to its offices. In the hours before the event, ground controllers adjusted Skylab's orientation to minimize the risk of re-entry on a populated area. They aimed the station at a spot 1,300 kilometers south-southeast of Cape Town, South Africa. The station did not burn up as fast as NASA expected. Debris landed about 480 kilometers east of Perth, Western Australia, and the debris was found in an area about 150 kilometre radius around Baledonia, Western Australia. Residents and an airline pilot saw dozens of colourful flares as large pieces broke up in the atmosphere. The debris landed in an almost unpopulated area, but the sighting still caused NASA to fear human injury or property damage. The local council of Esperance lightheartedly fined NASA $400 for littering. The fine was written off 3 months later, but was eventually paid on behalf of NASA in April 2009 after Scott Barley of Highway Radio raised the funds from his morning show listeners. Stan Thornton found 24 pieces of Skylab at his home in Esperance, Western Australia, and a Philadelphia businessman flew him and his parents and his girlfriend to San Francisco, where he collected the Examiner Prize.
Miss Bermuda, Miss Venezuela is Miss Universe.
The Miss Universe pageant in 1979 was held in Perth, and large pieces of Skylab debris were displayed on the stage. Analysis of the debris showed that the station had disintegrated 16 kilometers above the Earth, which was much lower than NASA expected. How worried would you be if there was a satellite hurtling back towards your town? Let us know in the comments. If you like this video, why not hit like, subscribe, and the bell so you know when we upload new content.